Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself, is the passage that the lawyer quotes. But we also know the golden rule. Love your neighbor. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That was the core of the message that Jesus said. And so when we're faced with these situations, we're tempted with both, with all of that. To move from contempt and victim blaming to self-preservation, to compassion, takes us to stop and to see ourselves in the other. And Dr. Attia, the surgeon who had to be faced with the contempt that he felt for this woman, eventually did move from contempt to compassion for this woman. It didn't happen a few hours or a few days later. It happened 3 years later. He had started to realize he was putting on weight, and he didn't understand why, because he exercised every day and he ate well, and he couldn't understand why he was putting on weight. So he went to the doctor, and the doctor came back, and he became the patient. The doctor came back and said, yeah, you have a thing called insulin-resistant metabolic syndrome, a precursor to diabetes. And if he didn't change his lifestyle and changed a lot of things in his life, he would develop diabetes also. And it made him stop and think and go back to that woman that he met in the ER that night. And he says, oh my God, how could I be so wrong and blame her for her behavior solely and not realize that maybe she had what I have? Insulin resistance that caused her body to react in the opposite and create the diabetic pathology that I am now experiencing. He was repentant, greatly regretted his feelings and emotions that night. But it also caused him to be grateful. Grateful to her because it changed his life. Set him on a new course. He left being a surgeon and went back into research, and now he has dedicated his life to researching and questioning the standard concepts of diabetes and questioning, could it be something else? Could it be this underlying issue of insulin resistance that really causes people to develop diabetes? It changed his life. Heck, he's on TED Talk talking about his research. And that's what today's story challenges us to do. To challenge the conventional wisdom, the conventional attitudes of our society, of ourselves, and to empathize and to understand where someone's at. You see, it's easy to judge someone from a distance, to look at their 20, 30, 40, 50 years of life, meet them in this one single moment, and think you've got it all figured out. Well, it's because she didn't eat right, or because they did this, or they did that. And you can do that from a distance. It's easy to do that from a distance. Judgment is always easy from a distance. And it gets us off the hook. But Christ calls us to love one another, not judge one another, not blame the victim, but try to come into their life, into their world, and see yourself there. The Samaritan man had to come near. He had to get up close and personal. See the blood. Cleanse the wound. Bind it. Hear the man's moans and groans as he lifts him onto his animal to take him into the town. When we love somebody, really, really want to love somebody, we have to get up close and personal. And most importantly, we need to begin to see ourselves in their eyes. To see their pain and know it is our pain. to see their shame and feel it for ourselves, and to empathize and understand where they're at. Now the lawyer, he started this whole question because he wanted to be justified in the limitations of his love and care for others. He wanted to know what his limit was. Well, who's my neighbor? But Jesus transforms the conversation to say it is whoever you empathize with. When the lawyer saw that and heard that, he realized, I do need to do this. I can't put limits on what God calls me to love and to care for. And Jesus ends the story with the words that we need to take home with. Now therefore, go and do likewise. Let us follow the words of Christ to love our neighbor as ourselves.